Hello and welcome. This is the video for the week ending December the 2nd, 2016. My name is Derek, and let's take a look at what occurred this week and where we stand on the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. And this week on the daily, 5 days of the sideways action, one floor higher than where it was on the previous Friday. So it had an extra increased gains from its previous day and really held it within this range. But this range did a couple of things. One, it stayed within this 18 average to the point because of its high being where the 18 average of highs is, and the lows, same thing, that is pretty much going to immediately start to flatten out if price action doesn't really do anything from here on in. But it's been almost give like a fuel for the most part on either a break of this resistance or on the break of these two key support levels. And on the bullish level first, Monday's session, it never broke this high all week. So when you establish this resistance point and have this like sideways consolidation for the length of time that it does, and then you break it even on the next session, then that's strong, basically, to say the least. And what I noticed too is that it had this failed break of support. And that's not that surprising to see on what the next move is going to be, that failed move beforehand. And that's just another key indicator to look at. But you have to watch it for the other side too, because you could have a move up in here and then quickly comes back down. And if you see that, well, then you know that move would be the failed move that's going to start this thing. But on the hold of such, I'd be looking for a move either to this point in here or maybe to the Fibonacci as well. Sometimes it might come here and then do a bunch of stuff like that before going there. Heck, maybe it takes an hour or two or a full 1 or 2 days to get to that point. You never know. You see these big moves that have occurred in the past, and sometimes it'll grind its way as well. Downside, same situation, because you've had this down move where it rides below the 18 average and comes back within its correctionary phase, that when you break these support levels, well, I got 1512 as the next key Fibonacci support. And just like on the upside, same thing down. Maybe it comes here, does this and something like that. Or maybe it takes 3 or 4 hours to do it. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 days. Who knows on that sort of level. Within the weekly chart, 2 weeks ago when this big red session comes right back down to Fibonacci, and it doesn't really go much lower. So Fibonacci doing what it normally does is when it comes down to it for the first time, it's going to find support there, usually. And then you see here, it breaks below, it finds resistance at it. It's doing what it normally does. Well, over the last couple weeks, it's been holding it, but it really hasn't had much of a bounce to the point where it's still well below the 18 average. On the daily chart, if it keeps going to the upside, then that's where its first target level is going to reach in here, is towards that point to go towards a correctionary phase within this chart. If this thing just keeps going lower, then the lower low to this is just going to extend, because this low, it's a lower low right now, but it's only going to be a key low until it makes some sort of key bounce, or basically makes a move one way or another, whether it be through price action or time, to this 18 average band. Finishing this time frame off within the monthly chart, and of course this long decline had the 18 average going down from 2011 all the way to 2015, so for 4 consecutive years. This first attempt to try to reverse the trend, well, it's established this resistance point that if it comes back down, this is going to be nothing more than a failed breakout, and then thus a continuation of the downtrend. I've been saying for months now I don't think that's going to happen. I still don't, but there'd be a lot of big, probably a decent sized move to this point in here on a break of this resistance when it occurs. That means probably within like 1 month or 3 weeks to that point. That would be my guess, but that's what I'd be looking for this thing to really start to get going, because the premiums, when you look at how the real world's looking in places like India and China and Russia and Venezuela and going to so many different other places, these prices are deadly cheap, in my opinion, at this stage, especially when you consider that the cost to mine it, that it is, I see it as a deal in a lifetime still. And with the prices suppressed for the purposes, what would the purpose of the central bankers to do such? So that they could keep the idea away of gold and silver being high. That's a scare tactic almost. For my previous videos way back in here, I was getting 4,000 views. Back in here, I was getting like 1,600 views. Back in here, I was getting like 600, 700 views. And as it was going down, the view count for me went lower. When the situation occurs, say a break above here and price actions back up here, then all of a sudden, instead of me getting from like 300 to 1,000 views, I'll be getting somewhere between 1,400 and 3,000 views, most likely. That's my prediction anyway, because more people are going to be searching for this kind of thing, as it's just going to be in the market talk. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a rest of a good weekend and a good week following. Take care.